Drake hasn't checked his retirement account balance in well over a year now. Not because it's necessarily bad news, he just genuinely doesn't want to know either way. Meanwhile, Daniel checks his own numbers every single quarter, compares them against a real benchmark, and adjusts course if he's behind. Only one of them actually knows if they're on track to become a millionaire. And the real benchmarks might genuinely surprise you either way, whether you turn out to be ahead of them or further behind than expected. Quick one before we get into the real numbers here. If checks like this one are genuinely useful to you, hit subscribe, new video every single week. Net worth is simply everything you own minus everything you owe. Nothing more complicated than that. Your retirement accounts, savings, home equity, and investments, minus your mortgage, loans, and credit card balances. It's the actual scoreboard, not your income. A $150,000 salary with nothing saved is a lower net worth than a $60,000 salary with a decade of consistent investing behind it. This is why two people can earn wildly different amounts and still land at the same net worth. Or why the person with the bigger salary can quietly be worth less than the person with the smaller one. Income is what shows up on a paycheck. Net worth is what's actually left after spending, debt, and time all get factored in. Calculating your own is more mechanical than people expect. List every account with a real balance: checking, savings, retirement, investments. And add your home's estimated value if you own one. Then list every balance you owe: mortgage, car loan, student loans, credit cards. Subtract the second list from the first, and that single number is where you actually stand today, not where your income or your lifestyle might suggest. The most reliable source for comparing that number against everyone else in the U.S. is the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances. It's only conducted every 3 years, and the most recent published numbers are from 2022. The 2025 survey is underway right now, with results expected late this year. So treat everything in this video as the most current official data available. Not necessarily this month's number. Here's the actual median net worth by age in America per the Fed's own data. Under 35, $39,000. Ages 35 to 44, $135,600. Ages 45 to 54, $247,200. Ages 55 to 64, $364,500. Ages 65 to 74, the peak, at $409,900. And 75 and older, $335,600 as retirees begin drawing that wealth. The overall median across every age group combined is $192,700. Notice something important here. None of these medians are anywhere close to $1 million at any age. If your own number doesn't look like millionaire territory yet, you're not behind some secret standard. You're roughly in line with most Americans at your age. Millionaire status isn't the median outcome. It's a real but specific goal that requires deliberate saving and investing over a long period, not something that happens automatically by simply having a job and getting older. It's also not a rare outcome, once you count it the way most researchers do, including home equity and retirement accounts, not just cash in a brokerage account. By that broader measure, roughly 24 to 24. 5 million U.S. households have crossed the $1 million net worth mark, or about 1 in every 11 households nationally. It's a genuine minority, but a much larger one than the word millionaire tends to suggest in most people's heads. Before comparing your own number to any of these benchmarks, it's worth getting it right. The most common mistake: counting a car at what you paid for it instead of what it's actually worth today. Vehicles lose value fast, and using the purchase price instead of a current resale estimate can overstate a net worth by thousands of dollars. The second mistake: forgetting a debt that isn't top of mind: an old student loan, a medical bill on a payment plan, a buy now, pay later balance. These count exactly the same as a mortgage or a credit card in the math, even when they don't feel like real debt. The third: using a stale home value. Home prices move, sometimes significantly, over just a year or two. A 5-year-old estimate can be meaningfully off in either direction, so it's worth pulling a current estimate before trusting the number that comes out of it. Net worth by age is one benchmark, but it doesn't account for how much you actually earn. Fidelity publishes a second, complementary benchmark based on salary multiples. By age 30, aim to have 1 times your salary saved for retirement. By 40, 3 times. By 50, 6 times. By 60, 8 times. And by 67, a typical retirement age, 10 times your salary. This version scales with you personally. Someone earning $80,000 targeting 3 times salary at 40 is aiming for $240,000 saved. A different number than someone earning $150,000 aiming for $450,000, even though they're using the identical rule. Neither benchmark is more correct than the other. The Fed data tells you where most Americans actually stand. The Fidelity multiple tells you whether your own savings are keeping pace with your own income. Checking both gives a fuller picture than either one alone. So what does the real path to $1 million look like? Based on the S&P 500's historical average return of about 10.5% per year since 1957, that's nominal before adjusting for inflation and its past performance. Not a promise of future results. A consistent $500 a month invested in a broad index fund grows to $405,252 after 20 years. Keep going for 30 years, and that same $500 a month grows to $1,258,200. Adjusted for inflation, so you can see it in today's actual purchasing power, that 30-year number comes down to $609,986 in real terms. Both numbers are true at once. The account statement will eventually show over $1 million, and what that money can actually buy will be worth somewhat less than $1 million is worth today. Neither figure is the fake one, they're just answering different questions. Here's the part that surprises people most. Time in the market does more work than the dollar amount. Take someone who invests $500 a month starting at 25, but stops adding new money entirely at 35. Just 10 years of contributions, $60,000 total, then leaves it completely untouched until 65. At that same 10.5% average return, that account grows to roughly $2,426,300 by 65. Now compare that to someone who waits until 35 to start. Then contributes that same $500 a month every single year for 30 straight years until 65, $180,000 total, 3 times as much money put in. That account reaches $1,258,200, over $1 million less than the person who only contributed for 10 years, but started a decade earlier. Same ending age, same rate of return. The only difference is when the money went in. This is the single biggest lever in this entire video, and it's also the one nobody can go back and fix once the decade is gone. The math above assumes a plain taxable account. Running it through a 401k or IRA instead doesn't change the growth rate, but it does change how much of that growth you actually keep, since both offer tax advantages a regular brokerage account doesn't. For 2026, the 401k employee contribution limit is $24,500, a little over $2,000 a month if you maxed it out completely. If you're 50 or older, you can add an $8,000 catch-up contribution on top of that. And under a newer Secure 2.0 rule, workers specifically aged 60 to 63 get an even higher super catch-up of $11,250 instead. IRAs run on a separate, smaller limit, $7,500 for 2026, or $8,600 if you're 50 or older. Roth IRA contributions specifically phase out at higher incomes. For 2026, that phase-out runs from $153,000 to $168,000 for single filers and $242,000 to $252,000 for married couples filing jointly. Above those ranges, a Roth IRA isn't available directly, though other strategies exist for high earners. One more piece worth naming. The 10.5% figure used throughout this video assumes a stock-heavy portfolio, like a broad S&P 500 index fund. Most people gradually shift part of that mix toward bonds as retirement nears, since bonds are generally steadier but historically grow more slowly. A reasonable trade-off for reducing how much a portfolio can drop right before it's actually needed. The choice between a Roth and a traditional version of either account comes down to timing, not amount. Roth contributions are taxed now, then grow and withdraw tax-free in retirement. Traditional contributions reduce your taxable income now, but withdrawals get taxed later. Neither is universally better, It depends on whether you expect your tax rate to be higher or lower once you actually retire. If your employer offers a 401k match, that's worth prioritizing before anything else discussed in this video. It's an immediate, guaranteed return that no index fund, no matter how good its 30-year average looks, can promise you in advance. None of this is an argument for giving up if you're starting later than you'd like. Someone starting at 45 who invests that same $500 a month for 20 years until 65 still reaches $405,252 nominal by the numbers already shown earlier in this video, a real, substantial outcome, even without the head start. This is also exactly what the age 50-plus catch-up contributions from earlier exist for, an extra $8,000 in a 401k, or the $11,250 super catch-up between 60 and 63, specifically built to let a later start close part of the gap faster than the standard limit alone would allow. Every calculation in this video assumes money is actually going in, uninterrupted. But net worth is a net number, and the average American credit card balance is $6,501, carried at an interest rate well above anything the stock market reliably returns. A dollar going toward high-interest debt is a dollar not compounding toward any of the numbers in this video, and in a real sense, it's actively working against them. There's no realistic mix of index funds that reliably out-earns a 20+% credit card rate over time, which is exactly why paying that balance down first isn't overly cautious advice. It's simply the higher, more certain return available. This isn't a reason to avoid investing entirely if you're carrying debt. It's a reason to check both sides of the ledger, not just the growing side. Progress toward $1 million is genuinely slower, sometimes a lot slower, if a chunk of every paycheck is servicing high-interest balances instead of compounding. Drake's avoidance isn't laziness, it's a documented pattern. Checking a number that might disappoint you is uncomfortable, so many people simply don't look. Which feels better in the moment, but means small problems never get caught early enough to fix cheaply. Daniel's version costs him 10 minutes 4 times a year. He pulls up his net worth, compares it against both benchmarks from this video, and if he's behind, he has real levers, contribute more, pay down high-interest debt first, adjust his investment mix, or simply give it more time. All decisions that are only possible once he's actually looked. It's also worth remembering that every number in this video, the medians, the multiples, the million-dollar milestones, was built slowly, in small monthly amounts, over years most people wouldn't consider exciting to film. There's no single decision that gets someone from zero to any of these numbers in one step. One honest caveat before wrapping up, these benchmarks are national averages and medians. They don't account for your local cost of living, your income history, whether you're supporting a family, or how many years you've actually had access to a workplace retirement account. Being behind a median isn't a personal failure. It's a starting point for a decision, not a verdict. Whatever the number says the first time you look, it's more useful than not knowing at all, and the version of you checking again next quarter will have real information to work with, instead of a guess. It's also worth separating two things people tend to blur together. Income and net worth measure different parts of a financial life. A high income makes building net worth easier, but it doesn't guarantee it. Plenty of high earners have a lower net worth than someone earning far less but investing consistently for longer. The number in this video is a what you kept and grew number, not a what you made number. Median net worth by age in America, $39,000 under 35, climbing to a peak of $409,900 at 65 to 74. A separate benchmark, salary multiples, targets 1 times salary by 30, up to 10 times by 67. And starting 10 years earlier can outperform contributing 3 times as long, but starting late, the single biggest lever in the entire video. Being on track isn't about hitting a perfect number by a perfect age, and it's not a competition against anyone else's timeline either. It's about actually checking, so you know which lever to pull next, and that's true whether you're already ahead of these numbers or meaningfully behind them. This video is for educational purposes only and is not personalized financial advice. If knowing the real numbers instead of guessing is useful, subscribe, new video every week. Next time, the one money mistake every generation keeps making, no matter how much more they earn than the last one.